There's something I've done before, which is talk about accountability, but it comes back into the news today because of the former, one of the former architects of No Child Left Behind, Diane Ravitch. Now, Diane has changed over time. She was a very big proponent of testing at one point, but she has changed her mind and she believes that testing does not create the type of schools that we want. I totally agree. But she gives some attention to the Superintendent of the Year, Mary Ann Whitaker of Hudson ISD, who is a great woman, think the world of her, and does a lot for the schools in Texas. And what Mary Ann's ultimately states is that testing is bad for kids, is that kids come to school, they're stressed out, they have a difficult time, and it just becomes an emotionally trying time in their lives, and it shouldn't be that way in schools. And I agree with her 100%. But something that goes even a little bit further is that the current accountability system does not get us at the schools that we want. When you go into schools, and I've gone into low performing schools, and they say, hey, you don't have to worry about Mr. Smith down the hall. And when you walk in there, what you see is that day after day, he is focused on kids taking objective measures and breaking down the test and making sure they understand all the little components to it all. Skills that they will never use anywhere else in their life, but they have to use during their school years. And those things work. And that's why we have our curriculum-based assessments and our benchmarks and things like that, is because it is something that helps get our students prepared for the way in which they will ultimately be held accountable. Now, I've always liked authentic learning, and Marianne Whitaker talked about that as well. And one of the things when I was growing up, they had the Foxfire books, and I was amazed because this was done by high school kids, and the high school kids were in an English class, and their teacher sent them out to talk to the previous generation about the different things they'd done. You see in this particular one they show on the front, it talks about hog dressing, log cabin building, planting by the signs, different things that the previous generation believed or found a lot of value in, or skills that they had, and it gave an opportunity for there to be that connection within the community, and it created a very professional product at the very end. And I think this has some lessons for our accountability system as well. If we want our students to have authentic type lessons, we need to have in our accountability system some authentic accountability measures. Now, what I think is, and I think we can go to this point, is that e-portfolios, because electronically we have the ability to store a lot of information and to require from students a rich variety of skills that they show at the end, not just through objective measures. And so here's what I think it would take, is that I think you have to decrease the number of objective measures that students take from 3rd grade through 12th grade, minimize those, have a lot of years in there that you don't take any at all. And I'm not saying they're worthless, but I think we have to minimize the importance of those things and not make it something that sticks with a kid to indicate their overall value. And then within that, I think we need to have authentic accountability measures. And what I mean by authentic is that in an e-portfolio, you might have them have to do a speech at one point that has, or different types of speeches because speaking is so important, written work that has some importance beyond just writing and sending off to be measured somewhere, but something written there, maybe other type of very practical skills that they have to show within there. And it probably needs to be focused and targeted based upon the student itself and what areas they want to do, kind of like our current endorsements that we have in the high school. But I think to make this really work, you have to allow some local autonomy. You have to give the local district the ability and trust them to be able to measure whether or not a student has the type of skills needed to be able to give them a diploma at the end of the time. And this is where the state legislature has a very difficult time. It is so easy to give these objective measures and take total control of it all than it is to trust the local areas. Now, our government regularly says they want to provide local autonomy. I think it is time for them to put up or shut up. Now, we also, over time, when you do these things, I've got to say that individuals have helped as far as try to make these better. And I'm continually trying to make these little weekly fives better. I've got to give a lot of credit to my wife, who has ended up on the email list and regularly tells me what is, some ways that can be tweaked when looking at these overall areas. And so anything that's improved over time, I've got to give the credit to her. Anything that continues to be bad, frankly, I've got to take that on myself. Have a good week.